So Lexie Hull went from grit to glamour. Lexi put it all on the line for the Fever this year. She had the two black eyes and the bloody lip, which I said was kind of, a summary of the Fever season, if you will, in Lexie Hull's face. But now she has done an interview with Glamour. She's one of the cover WNBA players, and talked about some things that should be obvious, but are still debated at times. One, she said that there is jealousy around the league for the Fever and Caitlin Clark's popularity. Duh. Not to say everybody is, but we have all seen the evidence of this. She also talked about the DeWanna Bonner exit and how it was random and not normal, which again, duh. Bonner signed with the Fever in free agency and left a few weeks later. So there you have it. Any pushback from haters coming right from Lexie Hull's mouth herself. So Lexi, again, appearing on the cover of Glamour. This is what she had to say. This is the cover image right here. So that's Lexie Hull right there. A nice picture, of course, as you would expect from a Glamour magazine photo shoot like that. And then there is the quotes in question that I was just talking about on the jealousy aspect. This was what she said. There is a level of jealousy when it comes to the Fever, just because of the media attention and the fans that have shown up for us ever since Caitlin got here. We've heard people and players and teams talking in their locker room about we can't let the Fever win. Remember when Caitlin Clark at the Commissioner's Cup celebration was like, they're going to hate this or whatever she said? I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, by the way. It's not like that's even odd. It's not even that that's odd. I mean, when a team is high profile, when they're getting a bunch of media attention, the other team wants to stomp them out. The other team wants to quiet that. The other team wants to extinguish it. So that, like, it doesn't even have to be rooted in anything negative necessarily. Now, sometimes it is, but sometimes that's competitiveness. So you have both of those factors at play. It's just naive to believe that there wasn't an extra sense of motivation, that there isn't an extra sense of attention around the Fever, because we've all seen it. We've sensed the tension. Even when they get put on national TV, it's a topic of conversation, regardless of how, you know, duh, again, it is, for lack of a better term, duh. So you have that part from Lexie Hull, and I mean, it's going to continue. I mean, that's not something that ever goes away. It might dwindle over time as it's not as fresh, and as novel, but it's still always going to be a thing. It's when you get put on primetime, you want to put somebody on the Jumbotron. Again, part of that natural competitiveness. And then sometimes it's spilled over into resentment and jealousy, in the words of Lexi. Then there's the DeWanna Bonner part of it. And this is what Lexi had to say about DeWanna Bonner and her exit from the Indiana Fever. I think that hurt the team behind the scenes probably more than it's been let out publicly up until this point. Speaking to Hull about Bonner's decision to leave the Fever, it seemed to me that there was still lingering hurt and confusion. I was super, super excited because finally there's a player in my position that I can look up to that has won in the league and has all these accomplishments and knows what it takes. And I can learn something from her. And then she randomly leaves and we're all kind of like, what happened? We were never given an explanation. And yet, just like with the team's injuries, Hull says Bonner's exit solidified the group's resolve to have one another's backs. To have no explanation was really challenging. But I think that helped us grow closer because we're like, all right, this is us. We're here. We're going to support each other. We're loving each other. We're going to fight for each other. We're not going to leave. We're in this together. And that's been the mentality that the Fever showed, or that was the mentality that the Fever showed the remainder of the season. No matter who went down, they rallied around one another. What was Kelsey Mitchell's rallying cry? We're all we got. We all we need. And that did seem to represent the Fever. But I mean, if you go back to the beginning of the season, you remember Caitlin Clark saying she wanted to win for DeWanna Bonner, for the vet who would come in. And, on top of that, if you recall, when Bonner moved up the scoring rankings, Caitlin Clark made it a point to tell the media, that wasn't getting enough attention. I remember that vividly because I wrote a piece about it at the time. Because my point then was that everybody's always talking about trying to, um, not giving the pioneers of the league enough credit, and then they just don't even mention that. So Caitlin went out of her way to mention that, and then Bonner just ghosts the team. And it's not, like we've seen players request trades before and ask out of places before. It happens in the NBA, and they always get criticized, by the way. It's not like they don't get criticized. Jimmy Butler did just last year. Kevin Durant has. James Harden has. Go on and so forth. It's a recurring theme. And superstars have power in the league, so they can force their way to certain places. But the Bonner situation was even different than those. I mean, maybe Harden is the closest comp but one, Harden was traded to the Nets and he still wasn't gone quite as quickly as Bonner. Two, Bonner chose the Indiana Fever in the offseason. So that's where it had to hurt the most is she signed up. She was supposed to be part of, you go back to that SI cover. Remember the Sports Illustrated Indiana Fever cover before the season? And how Bonner was featured on that. She was one of the players on that cover. It really should have been Lexie Hull in her spot. It's not such a good cover to look back on anymore. I'm not buying it. That was just the first image I could pull up to see. But really, it should have been Lexie Hull. And Lexie Hull made a case. I don't even know if she made a case. She solidified her case as part of that Fever core, where you have Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hull. Now the rest gets built around that. I would expect Sophie Cunningham to be back. Like I said, I expect KK Timpson to be back, given she was a rookie and drafted there. And we'll see how they build the rest of the roster. But that seems to me like the identity of the Fever team. You've got Clark, the transcendent star, who brings in that popularity and that jealousy and, can do her thing on the court. You've got Kelsey Mitchell, the born bucket getter, to form that dynamic backcourt. You've got Aaliyah Boston as the partner for Clark post to point guard, who developed and got much better this year too, continued to improve. And then you've got Lexie Hull, who's kind of the glue. Does all the hustle things, gets on the floor for loose balls, hits the open three. She even mentioned in the article that she knows, she's going to get open shots, just take them, let them fly. And the existing players in place give, I think, the Fever a lot of peace of mind about the kind of team that they have and the kind of people that they have in the locker room and the kind of camaraderie that they have. Because, Lexie Hull can go from grit to glamour.